What's good, YouTube? This is Cam chilling here again with another video. And I got a special treat for y'all, especially if you're a sports fan or a football fan or whatever fan you might be. I am going to be giving my official NFL predictions for each and every single team in this video alone. So I've been making predictions for some of the NFL teams. I thought I'd be able to make a video for each and every team, especially back in August, but it just did not happen. Some of that was because I was hanging out with some friends and families, just a bit of a quality time. I mean, what's wrong with quality time with some family and friends, But also Wi-Fi issues. Apparently, I guess the Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough back at home. So I just thought, why not? I would be making my predictions for each and every single team in this video, but it's not going to be that long for each and every team. I'm going to be talking about each team for at least under a minute, if not a minute for each team. I'm going to be giving my win-loss predictions for each team, why I have each team winning the amount of games that I have been winning. And then we're going to be going through who I have making it to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. So without further ado, let's get this show started. So we're going to start at the AFC side, starting with the AFC East. I have the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East division, going 11-6. I think some people are a little bit low on the Bills this season. Now, yes, I know that they lost a lot of people throughout the offseason, like Tre'Davious White, Mitch Morse, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, and most of all, Stephon Diggs. That's a lot of players that they lost the offseason, and also Gabe Davis if you want to include in there as well. But I still have faith on this team as long as Josh Allen is still on this team. Now, yes, the wide receivers may have gone worse, but I think they're going to make them work. Now, I think they're going to be more of a running team, kind of like the Ravens, how they've been running the offense. So I think their offense is still going to be fine. And then that defense, I still think it's going to be fine too. It just depends on what Von Miller is going to look like, because he looked like a ghost out there. He was a ghost. I mean, he was nowhere to be found. I couldn't find him anywhere when I was watching on TV. Nowhere to be found. Hopefully he can bounce back. And even with Tre'Davious White gone, I still like the cornerbacks. Now, there have been injuries going on at the safety position. Damar Hamlin is going to be starting at the free safety spot. I'm definitely wishing him luck the best. Wishing him the best. So we will see about this Bills defense, but I have the Bills winning this division. The New York Jets, 10-7. It's time for them to win now. I mean, especially with their coach being on a hot seat there right now. You brought Aaron Rodgers in for a reason, trying to compete for not only for the playoffs, but also for the Super Bowl. You got decent weapons around. You brought in Mike Williams, former of the LA Chargers. You still got Garrett Wilson. You still got Aaron Lazard. I think you drafted a couple receivers as well. The offensive line has definitely improved, bringing in Tyron Smith at the left tackle position and some other pieces as well. The defense is still going to do what they have been doing the past few seasons. Still going to be a lead led by Sauce Gardner. Still got CJ Mosley at the middle linebacker position. That defense will still be good. If they do not make the playoffs, this Aaron Rodgers experiment is going to be an absolute failure. So it's time for them to make the playoffs, going 10-7. The Miami Dolphins, 9-8. I was going somewhere in between whether or not I should put the Jets or the Dolphins in. And I was almost going to lead towards the Dolphins. I'm not going to lie. But I ain't going to lie. That schedule is brutal, especially the second half of this season. Their schedule is absolutely brutal. And December has not been a very good friend for this Dolphins team overall. I mean, I don't really get it. Like, you got the talent, especially offensively. You should be able to get it done in December, but you just haven't been. Especially in the cold weather, you just do not do well. Like the Kansas City Chiefs game in the playoffs last season. You guys did not even show up there at all. Didn't even compete against Kansas City. As well as some other teams that you go up against in cold weather. You guys just do not show up at all. And also, I don't know if I can trust Tua to stay healthy. Like, I think last year was the first time he was able to stay healthy. Thank God for that. But I don't know if I can trust that he can do it again. So that's my main concern overall. But I still have the Dolphins having a respectable record at 9-8. The New England Patriots 4-13. I mean, it's clearly a rebuilding year for the New England Patriots. Now, I do like that they got the quarterback who could be their future quarterback for this team, and Drake May. They also got a new head coach in Jaron Mayo, I think his name. It's going to be the first season without Bill Belichick. And yeah, this roster, I mean, you traded away your best player on your team, Matthew Judon, but I think it might be good for him since he's going to be playing with the rebuilding team anyway. Sorry, it just had to be said, if you ain't gonna lie. But yeah, this team is not going to be very good. I mean, the defense is still going to be solid. It's going to help this team compete in games. But when you look at their offense, you just can't expect them to score many points throughout the season, especially with the supporting cast that they have at their wide receiver position. The running back room is actually decent, but they're not elite. And I do not love their offensive line that they have over there. They're not going to do a good job protecting their quarterbacks, whoever's back there. I think Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starting quarterback for this team. I think Drake May will be the starters eventually throughout the season. But overall, this team is not going to be very good. 4-13 for the New England Patriots. We move on to the AFC North. I have the Bengals winning the division at 12-5. It just depends if Joe Burrow is able to stay healthy, and he needs to, because that's the one concern that I have with the Bengals. Not sure you can look at the roster saying that the defense may not be great overall, although I do like the addition of Geno Stone, who's brought in for the Baltimore Ravens. The defensive line should still be pretty solid overall. The cornerbacks I do not love. They got the weapons. Jamar Chase, although he's not happy with his contract right now, and neither is T. Higgins, I think, even though he got the franchise tag. So there's some decent weapons there, but I don't know how motivated they're gonna be. In the running back room, you lose Joe Mixon, but I ain't gonna lie. Even though he's a great running back, he's just been an average running back the past couple of seasons. I know you don't want to hear me say that, but it's just been true. Last year, he had 4 yards per carry last season. He had over 1,000 yards, but only 4 yards per carry. And then the year before, he only had over 800 rushing yards at 3.9 yards per carry. So it hasn't been a great past couple of seasons for Joe Mixon. You brought in Zach Moss, who I actually like. Look at last season when he started over Jonathan Taylor when Taylor was injured. He was doing a pretty good job running that toe. Had pretty good vision. I'm actually pretty encouraged by Zach Moss. We'll see about that running game. So if all those pieces coming together, Joe Burrow able to stay healthy, I think they're going to be just fine, and they will be dangerous in this season. 12-5 for the Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens, 11-6. I have them regressing just a little bit this year. Not much, but just a little bit. They're still going to be in the playoffs regardless. You lose your defensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, who is now the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. So I think this defense is going to regress a little bit this season. I think they'll get better as the season moves along. You still got Lamar Jackson back there. I've been still hearing people saying, oh, this guy can't throw. Yeah, the same guy who won 2 MVPs. Interesting. But you brought in a new partner in crime next to Lamar Jackson, Mr. Derrick Henry. And boy, this guy is going to be an absolute beast. And you still got decent weapons. Zay Flowers, who had a very good rookie season last season. Mark Andrews. You still got him. Isaiah Likely. Definitely like him as a number 2 tight end right there. Now, the offensive line concerns me. Now, the good news is that you guys don't throw the ball a lot. But if you have to, that would give me concerns. But overall, I still like the Ravens roster overall. They're still going to make the playoffs, but not winning the division. Have them going 11-6. The Cleveland Browns, I have them going 10-7. They got the roster. I mean, without a doubt, especially their defense. Obviously, you got Myles Garrett. You got Za'Darius Smith. You got Denzel Ward back there. I mean, you got talent everywhere on that defense. I expect the defense to be great yet again. And you got some solid weapons as well. Amari Cooper on one side. You brought in Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos. If he's able to keep his head up, then he could be a good number 2 option. The offensive line is definitely pretty solid. The running back room, Nick Chubb is not going to be ready for right now. He's probably going to come back after the next couple of games. So we'll see what he does after he comes back. But the quarterback position is the question mark. Deshaun Watson has not lived up to his contract since he was brought over from the Houston Texans, and the time is now. His job as a quarterback for this career is on the line. It's time for him to step it up, and he has to take this team to the playoffs, because Joe Flacco was the one who led that team to the playoffs last season, who was coming off of the bench, by the way, which is surprising to me. I did not expect that at all. But yeah, it's time for Deshaun Watson to be the quarterback that he knows that he can be. Because if he doesn't, I think it's over for him. But I have the Cleveland Browns going 10-7 and make the playoffs. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers 9-8. They still going to have a winning record with Mike Tomlin. I mean, he is known to have a winning record every single season that he's been on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the problem is that this division is extremely tough. And I just don't think they'll be making it back to the playoffs here again with the teams that they have in their division. If they were potentially in the NFC South, maybe, but in the AFC North, that's extremely tough. And the quarterback situation, it definitely got better, but they're still not great with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields back there. The defense should still be great with TJ Watt leading that crew. So that defense is still going to help this team compete in games, but just not enough to get them back to the playoffs. Steelers at 9-8. We move on to the AFC South, and this is pretty easy for me. The Houston Texans obviously going to win the division. I am going 13-4. You look at last season, the Texans drafted C.J. Stroud, and they also drafted Will Anderson, defensive end, in the number 3 overall pick. Both of those guys helped this team become relevant again. After seasons upon seasons of suffering, both of those guys, especially C.J. Stroud, he helped lead that team, making it to the playoffs, but also winning the AFC South division last season. It was just a phenomenal season for those guys, and now their expectations are extremely high. They brought in Joe Mixon from the Bengals. They brought in Stephon Diggs from the Buffalo Bills. What an addition that they brought in. You brought in Danielle Hunter, former of the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, this team has high expectations, and I'm looking forward to see what the Houston Texans can do this upcoming season. 13-4 for the Houston Texans. Jacksonville Jaguars 8-9. You know, they had that bad collapse in the second half of last season. I think because of Trevor Lawrence's injury, and also their wide receiver Christian Kirk was injured. But I think overall, I think the Jaguars gonna have a decent season. Just not enough to make the playoffs. Doug Peterson, I've been hearing rumors that he might be on the hot seat because of how the season ended their last season. So we'll see what goes on with him. With Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going to have a bounce back season, but I don't think it's not going to be enough to lead this team back into the playoffs. So Jaguars 8-9. The Colts, kind of the same record as the Jaguars, 8-9. Now, I don't know who might break the tie between those two. I don't know if either the Jaguars or the Colts may go like second in their own division. But anyways, the Colts at 8-9. It just depends on what Anthony Richardson is going to do this season. We didn't get to see much of him last season. I believe he only played like the first 4 games of the season, and then that was it. He was injured, didn't play the rest of the season. But they still got a pretty decent roster. You got decent weapons. You got Jonathan Taylor at the running back position. A very, very good offensive line in Indianapolis. On the defense, I do like their linebackers. Their defensive line is solid, but their secondary concerns me. I do not love their secondary at the cornerback room and neither in the safety room either. But overall, it's a pretty decent roster, just not enough to get into the playoffs. Indianapolis goes 8-9 for the season. The Tennessee Titans 6-11, and it won't be the worst 6-11 type of team. I think this is going to be a 6-11 team that is going to be competing this season, because you look at their defense. I like the addition they brought in Ladarius Sneed, former of the Kansas City Chiefs, going to shore up that secondary, that cornerback room. They brought in Jamal Adams, former of the Seattle Seahawks. He was also been a New York Jet as well. Shoring up that safety room. Then you look at the offense, they got the weapons. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins kind of been the forgotten guy, probably because that he's on the Titans, but he's still very, very good despite getting older. You brought in Calvin Ridley, formerly of your rival, the Jacksonville Jaguars, a very good number 2 receiver right there. Tyler Boyd, you also brought in, formerly the Cincinnati Bengals. They got weapons. Tony Pollard in the running back room. Now he wasn't great last season, but I do like him at the running back room. I think it's going to come down to Will Levis. Is he going to be the guy leading this team in the future? We shall see about him, because he has shown some flashes, but also shows some inconsistency as well. So I have the Titans going 6-11, but not as terrible as many people think. We move on to the AFC West. Obviously, I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning that division, going 13-4. You still got Patrick Mahomes, the up-and-coming young GOAT. You got Travis Kelce, who's going to end up being one of the greatest tight ends of all time when he retires. You still got Andy Reid, who's going to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. They are still here. They're still here to play. They are looking for a three-peat this season. I think they can do it until somebody, and I mean somebody, knocks off the Chiefs whatever round they're in the playoffs. I just don't see how the Chiefs is going to fall off, no doubt. 13-4 for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers, 7-10. Now, hey, I got to give kudos to the Chargers. They have finally found the coach that they have been looking for in Mr. Jim Harbaugh. This guy is going to help this Chargers team be a more disciplined team. Now, they're not going to be competing in the playoffs throughout the season, but in the future, oh, there's definitely something to be excited about for that man. Because you still got Justin Herbert here at the quarterback position. Now, we'll see about this running back room. You brought in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, who hasn't been able to stay healthy for the Baltimore Ravens. From his brother, by the way, and John Harbaugh. We'll see about them. I do not love the wide receiver room at all. But now perhaps they could be better, but I do not love them right now. And then the defense, you still got Khalil Mack, you still got Joey Bosa, but I do not love their secondary. You got Derwin James back there at the safety position. You got Asante Samuel at the cornerback position, but overall, do not love the secondary that much. And neither in the linebacker room. I mean, they've been struggling against the run for several seasons now, so I do not love their defense overall. But as long as Justin Herbert's on the team, I think he's going to help that team be at least competitive, but I only have them going 7-10. The Raiders, 6-11. I'm pretty interested to see how the Raiders are going to do this season. Now, this head coach that they decided to keep, I definitely love that. After Josh McDaniels, at first, I don't know why they decided to bring in Josh McDaniels in the first place. I thought that was an odd move right there, because we've seen the vibes that was going on when Josh McDaniels was coaching, especially Davante Adams. If you didn't know, you should look it up and see how he was feeling. You brought in Gardner Minshew, who apparently is a Pro Bowl quarterback. Now, he had some good moments for sure when he played for the Colts, but a Pro Bowl quarterback? I don't know about that one. We'll see about the running back room. The offense could be decent, but the defense, I love it. They brought in Christian Wilkins, former of the Miami Dolphins. This guy is going to help Max Crosby back there on that defensive line, bringing a number of pressures to different quarterbacks that they play. Man, I think that defense is going to be the strength there for this team. But I only have the Raiders going 6-11. But I think they're going to be more of a defensive type of team, in my opinion. The Denver Broncos, 4-13. It's clearly going to be a rebuilding year, even with Sean Payton. They got in a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, who I do like at the quarterback position. But I think it's going to be a process to see whether or not he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the team. I do not love the supporting cast they have to work with. Javonte Williams has been decent to start his career, but last year was not great at all. Wasn't a great year for Mr. Williams. And the wide receiver core I definitely don't love. Cortland Sutton, he's decent, but he's not a number 1 guy. And then the other receivers are like a number 3 receiver at best. So overall, I do not love this roster there for the Denver Broncos. So I have them going 4-13, finishing last in the AFC West. All right, so that's for the AFC. Now we are moving on to the NFC side. Looking at the NFC East, I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East, going 11-6. This was definitely easy there for me. Now we'll get to the Cowboys here in a second, but the Eagles, they got the talent. I mean, they brought in Saquon Barkley, who the Giants did him wrong because Saquon thought he was going to be a Giant for life. But they decided to say like, oh no, we're definitely fine. Or we don't need no Saquon Barkley. He can just go on ahead and go whatever he wants to do. And then what happened? He went to go sign to a division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm looking forward to see what this guy does whenever he faces the Giants this upcoming season. But yeah, you brought him in. You still got Jalen Hurts, who I expect is going to have a resurgence this season after having a lot of turnovers last season. I think he's going to go back to that 2022 season that he had when he was an MVP candidate. You still got A.J. Brown. You still got Devontae Smith. You brought in Jahan Dotson, former of the Washington Commanders. Now, I'll talk about them in a second because I just don't get it. But anyway, you got the weapons there, man. Dallas Goedert at the tight end position, like him. Now, we'll see about their secondary. Now, they got new coordinators there at the coaching staff. With Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, Nick Fangio at the defensive coordinator. Perhaps both of these coordinators, especially Nick Fangio, going to help that secondary be better than it was last season, because last year the secondary was just flat out bad. I mean, they were just absolutely bad, letting a number of receivers torching them from play to play. It was bad. So we'll see if that defense will be better, but I have the Eagles winning that division anyway, going 11-6. The Dallas Cowboys 9-8. They definitely got worse than they were last season. I mean, they lose pieces like Stephon Gilmore at the cornerback position, who they could have resigned after the season, but they didn't want to. But oh well. Tony Pollard is gone, even though he wasn't great last season, but you did lose him. You lose Tyron Smith at the left tackle position. This roster definitely gotten worse. Now, they're still going to be a good team regardless overall, but not as dominant as it were in seasons. And it's time for them to make it to the championship game, because if they don't, there's going to be several changes. At least the Cowboys should know that there's going to be changes if they don't make it to the championship game. But we shall see about that. Dak Prescott is still going to do his thing in the regular season. No, now the playoffs, that's just a different story. But we're not going to talk about that much there. But yeah, the Cowboys are still going to be competitive overall. Still should be a good team. But I only have them going 9-8. But they still make the playoffs. The Commanders 5-12. I think this is going to be another rebuilding team here. Now, you brought in Dan Quinn, who was the coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. But I think he's going to help the defense be better than they were last season. You brought in Jaden Daniels in this year's NFL draft. We'll see about this guy. I do like him when he played in college. He definitely got the use of those wheels, using those legs. He can make some throws. Perhaps he could be the next Lamar Jackson. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Lamar Jackson, but he could be close to him. Now, the ones that he has to work with, Terry McLaurin. Now, Jahan Dotson. I don't understand why they decided to let this guy go. He was clearly your second best wide receiver. I guess it didn't work out. Maybe there's something personal that went going on between him and the Commanders overall, but I just don't understand that decision at all. Especially trading him to your division rival, the Eagles. I definitely don't understand that at all. We'll see what Jaden Daniels can do this season. I'm very encouraged to see what he looks like. And then we'll see about that defense with Dan Quinn being the head coach for the Commanders. But I have them going 5-12. And then the New York Giants, 3-14. I have no expectations for this Giants. Now, you drafted Malik Neighbors, who I definitely love. Perhaps he could be the next Odell Beckham 2.0. Woo! That's probably going to be the only thing that's going to be very good about this team. Literally, that's it. Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. I was watching some of the tape on Hard Knocks about this Giants team. I've seen some staff on this Giant organization talking about, oh yeah, I love to see Daniel Jones. Oh, this guy's a very, very nice quarterback. I'm very looking forward to see what Daniel Jones can do. Ooh, that boy Daniel Jones. I love me Daniel Jones. I have zero regrets signing this man to that big old contract over Saquon Barkley. Really? I don't know what they were watching in Daniel Jones because he has not been very good at all. Now, I know he didn't have a lot of help with the weapons, the offensive line, but man, this guy's just not very good at all. It's time for them to get a new quarterback because I don't know what they were looking at in Daniel Jones. Okay, I'm sorry. I just got to be real with this. Okay, I'm sorry. I have seen enough from Daniel Jones. He's just not going to be it. He is not the future. Even when they drafted him a few years ago, I still did not love that draft pick at all. And so I never understand it. I don't know what they seen. This is enough for Daniel Jones, and I think he's going to be the backup quarterback after this season. So, Giants 3-14. NFC North, surprise! I have the Green Bay Packers winning the NFC North, going 12-5. Now you can say the Detroit Lions will win the division. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's time that the Packers take this division back. They got the weapons, man. I mean, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jayden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Bo Melton, Malik Heath. There is depth at the wide receiver position. And the running back room, you brought in Josh Jacobs. Unfortunately, losing Aaron Jones, which would have been nice that they would keep him, but obviously that just did not happen. The offensive line should still be solid. Jordan Love entering his second season as the Green Bay Packers quarterback. I'm definitely looking forward to see what he does. Got that big bag last month in August. I think he definitely deserves it after what he did last season. I think he's going to be even better this upcoming season. We'll see about the defense. They got a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. This is going to be interesting to see because they got the talent on that defense. Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Lucas Van Ness, Preston Smith, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes. You brought in Xavier McKinney, former of the New York Giants. Definitely going to help that safety room. You drafted Javon Bullard in the second round, who's a hard-hitting, strong safety. Love that draft pick there for the Green Bay Packers. I think this team is going to shock people again by winning the division and perhaps make an even deeper run in the playoffs. I have the Packers winning the division at 12-5. The Detroit Lions, I just have them just one game off from the Packers, going 11-6. They certainly made improvements on their roster, like their secondary. It was their weakness last season. They brought in Carlton Davis, formerly of the Buccaneers, who had experience in the playoffs, even went to a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. You drafted a cornerback in Terron Arnold in the first round, definitely like that. Now, the secondary is probably going to have their struggles early, but still, that secondary is going to be better than they were last season. And then the offense, they kept their offensive coordinator and Ben Johnson. Definitely love that. The offense is still going to be just as good as it was last season. Jared Goff, as long as he's protected, he's going to be very good. Those running backs, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, as a rookie last season, was scary last season. I expect him to get more carries this season. The wide receiver room, Emmanuel St. Brown is not going anywhere. Had a great season last year, probably his best season last season. Jameson Williams, we'll see about this guy because this guy has the speed, just haven't had many opportunities. So overall, man, I definitely love this roster. Oh, and also Sam Laporta as a rookie last season, absolutely phenomenal rookie season. He perhaps is going to be good yet again. So overall, this is a very darn good roster. This is still going to be a dangerous team moving forward. 11-6 for the Detroit Lions. Chicago Bears, I'm going 8-9, and this is going to be a competitive Chicago Bears team. They got Caleb Williams at the quarterback position, who I've been hearing might be the next Patrick Mahomes. I'm saying slow down upon that. We need to see what he is going to look like as the regular season come along. I'm very encouraged by Caleb Williams, but I need to see what this guy does in regular season because they got the weapons, man. I mean, they brought in Keenan Allen, formerly of the Chargers. You still got DJ Moore. You also drafted Room Odunze at the wide receiver spot. I mean, they got the tight ends there as well. And I think the offensive line should be decent. It'll be decent. It's not as bad as people think it is. So, at least Caleb Williams has the talent there to be a very good quarterback. for the Chicago Bears. Something that the Bears has been looking for a long time. And that defense, they look strong when they brought in Montez Sweat. Once Montez Sweat comes in, the defense played a whole lot better overall. Now, I don't know how they got better with him, but that's just the case. So I think they're going to be a competitive team, but just missing the playoffs. 8-9 for the Chicago Bears. The Minnesota Vikings, 7-10. It just depends on the quarterback situation, particularly Sam Darnold. Unfortunately, they lose J.J. McCarthy in that first preseason game. This is what the Vikings were looking for, seeing what this guy could do, perhaps seeing this guy if he could be the next franchise quarterback, but they won't be able to see that happening this season. So Sam Darnold is going to be starting anyway. So we'll see if this guy can have a resurgence after a bad career he had with the Jets. He brought in Aaron Jones, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, who's definitely going to help that running game do better. The wide receiver room, you got Justin Jefferson still going to do his thing. We know what this guy can do. Jordan Addison, he had a very good rookie season last season. TJ Hawkinson at the tight end position. Now, he's not going to be ready for this season, but when he comes back, he's definitely one of the best tight ends in the NFL. They got weapons on their offense. Now, the defense is okay. You got Brian Flores as your defensive coordinator who can help this defense be pretty good at times, but not great. So even though the Vikings are not going to go anywhere, they're still going to be a competitive team overall. 7-10 for the Vikings. We move on to the NFC South. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning the NFC South, but only going 9-8 though. Because yes, even though I have them winning the division, obviously you brought in Kirk Cousins. That's definitely a big improvement at the quarterback position. Now you're paying him all that money in that contract. Like they paid him man over $200. Sheesh. They paid him like he's the best quarterback ever. I mean, sheesh. Is he really worth that amount of money? But he definitely got it. So, but he's coming off of Achilles tear from last season. So we have to see what this guy's going to look like. Now, I do like the running back room with Bijan Robinson. This guy is going to be a beast for this Falcons team. And the ones they have, I don't love them right now, but perhaps they could be better, but I don't love them. Drake London, the wide receiver 1. He's decent, but he's not great. Darnell Mooney from the Bears hasn't been great for the Chicago Bears. I think part of it might be quarterback play, but he hasn't been great. So we'll see about the weapons. Kyle Pitts, I think he's going to have a monster season after finally having a quarterback that he can get the ball from, and Kirk Cousins. And their defense, DeBron Justin Simmons, former of the Denver Broncos, he's standing next to Jesse Bates, the best safety duo in the NFL. My goodness, that safety room in Atlanta. And you brought in Matthew Judon, former New England Patriots, to help shore up that pass rush. Man, that defense is going to be pretty scary there for Atlanta. But I only have the Falcons having 9 wins, but they still win the division. The Buccaneers, 8-9. I have them taking a bit of a step back this season. Now, I know that they made the playoffs on the past few seasons with Tom Brady and the first year with Baker Mayfield. Now, it was surprising that the Buccaneers were able to make the playoffs with him. Because they still got the weapons with Mike Evans, who has been unstoppable since he was drafted by the Buccaneers a number of years ago. Chris Godwin has been doing his thing. Decent depth beyond those two guys as well. So their offense should still be pretty good there as long as Baker Mayfield continues to play good football. Todd Bowles at the head coach can do some things with his defense back there. I still think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be solid, but just not winning the division overall. You lose Dave Canales, who's now the head coach for the Carolina Panthers, so perhaps we could see a bit of a step back for Baker Mayfield, but this team should still be pretty solid. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8-9. 6-11 for the New Orleans Saints. I just don't have much faith for the Saints. I mean, you brought in Derek Carr and that didn't really work out. Now, the offensive line is bad, but it just did not work out for Mr. Derek Carr. And this is funny because this is a guy who was considered one of the best quarterbacks we used to play for at the time called the Oakland Raiders. But now he has been just average to below average at this point of his career. It's pretty crazy to see that. But Alvin Kamara, he's been declining the past couple of seasons, and I do not love the wide receivers. You got Chris Olave, who might be your only good weapon that you have on offense, Chris Olave, and everybody else are just eh. Taysom Hill could come in and be a good receiver there, but man, this guy's just been doing everything at this point for the offense. I mean, at some point he's going to be an injury prone type of player. I mean, you can't always rely upon him to do every single thing for y'all. The defense should still be great. You still got Cam Jordan at the defensive end position, although he is getting older. You still got Demario Davis at the linebacker position. Marshawn Lattimore at the cornerback. Still like him. Tyrann Mathieu at the safety position. You still got pieces over there at the defensive side. But will that be enough for them to win a number of games? I definitely doubt that. Dennis Allen has not been doing a good job. Now, he hasn't been bad, at least keeping this team be competitive, but they can't win games. You got to win games in order to keep your job. I think he's going to be one of the first coaches to be fired, but I have the Saints going 6-11. And then the Panthers 5-12. It just depends on what Bryce Young is going to do this season. Now, Dave Canales, who I mentioned earlier, was bringing in as a head coach formerly of the Buccaneers. I think he's going to help Bryce Young be an even better, more efficient quarterback because last year was just dreadful. I mean, absolutely awful. The offensive line has improved. You brought in Robert Hunt, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, to shore up the guard position. I think the offensive line should definitely be better than it was last season. You brought in Deontay Johnson at the wide receiver room. I think that's going to help Bryce Young as your number one guy, and I like that, along with Adam Thielen. Now, I do not love their defense. You still got Shaq Thompson, who's a pretty good linebacker, pretty good leader. The defensive line, all they can do is just stop the run overall, which is good. But in terms of pass rushing, forget about that. I do not love their secondary. Their safeties is definitely solid, but their cornerback room, I don't love it there right now. So this Panthers team still has long ways to go to see what they got, especially in Bryce Young. So I have them going 5-12. And then finally, the NFC West. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the NFC West, going 12-5. The 49ers are able to do what they need to do, at least contract-wise. Brandon Ayuk, they were able to retain him there after there was speculation that he may get traded, but nope. The 49ers said, nay, he ain't going nowhere. That boy is staying here over San Francisco to go win Super Bowls, although it hasn't really happened for them. But they were able to keep him. Trent Williams, they're able to give him that contract. So everything should be good now. But right now, I think this is a Super Bowl or bust for the 49ers because after this year, there might be a couple of players that are likely going to be gone after the season. So their time is now. And also, they got to pay Brock Purdy now at the quarterback position there after the season. I think it's going to be another proven year for Mr. Brock Purdy. But now it's going to be time for him to get his big bag. So this is a Super Bowl or bust year for the 49ers. Their time is now for the 49ers. I have them going 12-5. The LA Rams, I have them going 10-7. Still definitely going to be a solid team. As long as Matthew Stafford stays healthy, this team is to still be very, very good. You still got Sean McVay, one of the top head coaches there in the NFL. I mean, that guy can absolutely coach. Very energetic coach. They got the weapons. I mean, the running back room, Kyren Williams, who had a very good rookie season last season. And they got the weapons, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. I think he had over 1,600 receiving yards in his rookie season. Wow, are you kidding me? Yeah, that offense is still going to be very good. Now, we'll see about their defense because no longer there is Aaron Donald, who has retired after last season. So you got this rookie coming in. We'll see about this guy. This guy going to be stepping in the shoes of Aaron Donald. The secondary, I don't love it. Now, we'll see about the secondary because, again, he still got Sean McVay, and perhaps he's going to get some out of this defense. Okay, cool. But right now, I don't love their defense. But I still got the Rams going 10-7, making the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks 8-9. I think it's a respectable record for the Seattle Seahawks because you brought in Mac McDaniel. This guy is going to help that defense reach their full potential. I think we could be seeing the Legion of Boom 2.0. We could be seeing that defense return. Remember guys like Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Bobby Wagner, those guys? I think we could be seeing this again this season with Mac McDaniel out there. So the defense, I expect it to be very, very good. And then the offense, you still got weapons. You still got DK Metcalf. You still got Tyler Lockett. You also got this other receiver. I don't remember his name. JSV or something like that. I think that's his name. But you still got the weapons, man. Solid running back room as well. And we'll see if they can stay healthy. Geno Smith. So the Seahawks are still a respectable team, but just coming in short of making the playoffs. So I have them going 8-9. And then finally, the Arizona Cardinals 7-10. The team should definitely be better than it was last season, especially that they did not have Kyler Murray at the quarterback position, who has been recovering from an ACL tear he suffered late in the 2022 season. But now with him back, I expect the team to be more competitive here this season. Marvin Harrison Jr., we'll see what this guy can do at the wide receiver room, whom they drafted this year. Perhaps he could be the next Hall of Fame wide receiver. We'll see about that. Trey McBride at the tight end position, becoming one of the better tight ends in the NFL. But the defense, I do not love it right now. They're going to be lacking in pass rush. The safety, yes, I do like. Now, Budda Baker had a down year last year, but I expect him to bounce back. I do not love the cornerback room right now. Now, perhaps they can be better as the season moves along, but right now I do not love the cornerback room. So I'm not saying that the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs, but don't sleep on this team. They're going to be in some games, but I have them going 7-10. Now, let's move on who I have making the playoffs. So, for the AFC, I have the Texans being the number 1 seed in the AFC. I have the Chiefs as my number 2 seed. The Bengals number 3. The Bills number 4. The Ravens number 5. The Jets number 6. And the Browns as the number 7. And then you look at the NFC. I have the Packers as the number 1 seed. I have the 49ers my number 2 seed. The Eagles at number 3. The Falcons number 4. The Lions number 5. The Rams number 6. And the Cowboys at the number 7 seed. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to choose the teams who will likely make it to the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. So let's start at the AFC playoffs. I have the Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs as my AFC Championship game. Now, this is a tough one here for me because this game will be playing at Houston, as I said earlier, as the number 1 seed. That's definitely going to be tough playing against CJ Stroud. I mean, we know what that guy can do. That boy can play. They got the weapons out there with Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and Nico Collins. They got that wide receiver room. They got the weapons over there. And Mahomes, you just never doubt him with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. But I'm not going to lie. Even though I love the Houston Texans and their roster overall, you just can't doubt Patrick Mahomes, man. I'm sorry. He just can't be doubted. You just can't. And until I see this man get knocked out by any team, I just can't bet against him. I'm sorry. I know Texas fans does not want to hear me say this, but I just got to look at history and say that this Kansas City Chiefs have been making it to the championship game every single season since Patrick Mahomes started. And they have been to the Super Bowl the past couple of seasons. There's a reason why they've been hyped up saying that they're going to have a 3-peat. I think it is going to happen. I have the Kansas City Chiefs being the number 1 seed of Houston Texans and making it to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Now we look at the NFC side. I have the Packers and the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. This is going to be in Green Bay. Obviously with the San Francisco 49ers, who has our number. I ain't going to lie. the 49ers had the Packers number, especially with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback during that time. So perhaps we could see Jordan Love turn that ship around and see if they can do what Aaron Rodgers couldn't do. But I'm not going to be biased here, because as much as I would love to see the Packers make it to the Super Bowl, I got to look back at history, and history tells me that the 49ers have always beaten the Packers in the playoffs. And until I see the Packers getting the job done against that team, I got to go with the 49ers. They're just absolutely stacked at their roster. The wide receivers, Christian McCaffrey in the running back position. The defense, their defensive line with Nick Bosa right there. The linebacker with Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner will be the best linebacker in the NFL. The secondary back there. There is talent everywhere here on this roster. I think the 49ers are extremely aware that this might be their last chance of potentially making it back to the Super Bowl. Their time is now. They're going to be very, very desperate to go to Green Bay and get the job done. So I have the 49ers going back to the Super Bowl again. Even I'm feeling hurt to say that, because I'm a Packers fan. But I just got to go with what history tells me. So I have the Chiefs and the 49ers rematch. It's going to be the third time that both these teams met in the Super Bowl. Man, oh man. Now, I think this time it's going to be a high-scoring game when both of these teams meet. The 49ers are going to be coming in, motivated to try to win this game. But again, I just can't doubt Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, man. I mean, you can say what we want about Kyle Shanahan being a very good coach there for the San Francisco 49ers. And the funny thing is that whatever quarterback that Kyle Shanahan has, he always going to get his team to the playoffs and obviously to the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter if it's Brock Purdy. Doesn't matter if it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Heck, they might put me in the quarterback position, and perhaps I could lead this team to the Super Bowl. Heck, they could put in anybody at the quarterback position. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. This guy knows how to coach their quarterbacks and turn this team and leading this team to the Super Bowl. This guy does it. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, that's a different story. This guy has not been getting it done in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just the truth. A few times, I mean, you lose a 25 lead against the Patriots with Tom Brady a few years back. And twice, you choked a lead against the Kansas City Chiefs twice. So until I see Kyle Shanahan turn that ship around, I gotta go with the Chiefs again. I think the Chiefs will three-peat and make history. I have the Chiefs winning this upcoming Super Bowl. But that is it. This is my 2024-2025 NFL predictions. What are your thoughts about my prediction? You can put your comments down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and also please subscribe. And until next time, this is Cam Chillin', and I am signing off. Peace.